Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central. CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and the Bombers have decided on their offensive coordinator. It is going to be Tommy Condell. And for anyone who is wondering if the shirt would come out, if you know the lore, then yes, the shirt did come out. So for those wondering, Tommy Condell.
That's watching this on YouTube.
For anyone who hasn't seen some of our stuff before, Tommy Condell is the former offensive coordinator for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Two-time offensive coordinator for
Tiger Cats. That's right, as he was through 2013. And then he had went over to be the offensive coordinator for the Ottawa Red Blacks. During the end of his tenure in Hamilton, Rick was a very big advocate for Tommy Condell not being there and being anyone else.
I mean, he was only with us from 13 to 15 and 19 to 23.
Yes, that's true. Although he was there, weird, it says 2020 to 2023 for quarterbacks coach on his Wikipedia.
No, because he was with Toronto from 17 to 18 for receivers coach.
No, what I'm saying is that from 2019 through 2023, he was the offensive coordinator, but it said from 2020 to 20.
Here's both.
23, he was also the QB coach. Just a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, no. So Rick is not a big fan of Tommy Condell. My thoughts on this signing, very hot to cold. And what I mean by that is I believe this is an improvement over Jason Hogan. I also am skeptical. Tommy Condell's offense is very pass heavy, which concerns me as a big fan of Brady Oliveira. I hope that Tommy Condell understands that whatever running back he's had in the past, as good as they were, he's got Brady Oliveira now. And so there needs to be some sort of playbook that's going to complement that. And so I expect a lot of his similar playbook, but I'm hoping his play calling favors running the ball. Not necessarily favors running more than, I don't expect a huge change, but at least a higher percentage of running plays in his time in Winnipeg than maybe he would have in Hamilton or in Ottawa. Because, I mean, he didn't work out in Ottawa, but then again, not much is working out in Ottawa. In the sense of Ottawa, I don't think it was just there was also a personnel issue with that, with Ottawa and why they've had struggled to really put everything together. It's not simply coaching. The issue was bigger than that, but we'll have to see if Dinwiddie is able to get that going. But with Tommy Condell, the concern I have with him is he has this raging obsession with screen passes. I don't mind a screen pass. Good screen pass, when executed here and there, can be a really good asset. There's a reason it's part of the game. From my understanding, from what Rick has said and from what I have heard and from a little bit of what I've seen, that is a large portion of his passing plays. Is this correct, Rick?
It's not even that. It's the whole 3rd and 1 from the gun.
3rd and 1 should never be from the gun. Even if you're gonna throw that ball, you should at least give the illusion you're gonna run it. Dakota Prukop pulled this play off perfectly when Buck Pierce was OC.
Also, Carter, just to give you a heads up, this is way before your time as a young lad. This is Tommy Condell's 2nd time with Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah?
He was actually your guys' special teams coordinator back in 97.
97, yes. Yeah, I see that. Because if I'm looking here at his career history, he's kind of been all over the places. He started his career in 95 for Illinois Wesleyan Titans, which are a Div 2 NCAA team. And then they played, and then there was running backs, linebackers coach for the Albany Firebirds in 96. He also was a receivers coach for Hamilton College for the Continentals. Then the year after, Winnipeg Blue Bombers special teams coordinator. And then
for 1 year, which didn't last for very long.
Then did not last very long. 1998, 1999 for McNeese State Cowboys. He was the tight ends coach, assistant offensive line coach as well. 2000, he was the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks receivers coach and pass game coordinator. Such a strange title. They're a Div 1
which is
college
a
team.
D1 school.
Yep. Then there's he was a special teams coordinator and tight ends coach for Louisiana-Monroe. They used to be called the Indians at the time in 2001. They're now called the Warhawks. I imagine that was one of many teams like the formerly Edmonton Eskimos, now Edmonton Elks. That got
Like in 2004, 2005.
2004, 2005. He was with the Ottawa Renegades. He was their quarterback / receivers coach as well as their passing coordinator. I have an Ottawa Renegades jersey. Then in 2007 to 2009, he was with the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. He was their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, which is a Div 1 NCAA team. 2010 through 2012, Cornell Big Red, Div 1 NCAA. He was their assistant head coach and their wide receivers coach. Then, of course, as we mentioned before, he was with Hamilton 2013 through 2015, as well as 2019 through 2023. 2018, he was the offensive coordinator for the Toronto Argonauts, but in 2017, as well as 2018, he was their receivers coach. So Tommy Condell has a very decorated career in terms of the amount of teams he's coached for. He's been around the block a lot. He has won Grey Cup championship in 2017. This was just as a receivers coach in Toronto. So if you're Tommy Condell, he's been around a while. You're probably looking to get some more hardware for that. And I think that was kind of one of the concerns that you had there, Rick, was in regards to Condell's relationship with the big game. Yes. Because, of course, one thing that is very well worthy of note is he was the offensive coordinator, of course, for Hamilton through 2019 to 2023. Rick, how many times, if you can just give me a straight answer, how many times were the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Grey Cup between 2019 and 2023?
Twice.
And how many games did they win? And how many games did they win? I'm not trying to rip it into you. I'm not. But I'm saying he's 0 for 2 in that time span.
0 for 3. 0 for 3 if you include 13.
Oh, yeah, I guess. If you're talking Hamilton, yeah.
0 for 4 if you include 14.
Like, are you talking as an OC?
Yeah. And we never made it to... So he's 0 for 4 in Grey Cup games.
As an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's yikes. That's a bit concerning.
Just with us, I haven't gone and looked at Toronto or Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
But.
Now, one thing I did want to mention, because we're not doing a whole video on Jason Hogan's demotion. We're just covering it in this video because Tommy Condell is now the offensive coordinator of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But Jason Hogan was not fired by the Bombers. He actually was demoted, and so has returned to being the running backs coach for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Not going to lie, I like this move because he did well as a running backs coach. He's a good running back coach. He's just not a great offensive coordinator, at least yet. He just looked extremely inexperienced and a bit problematic in that regard. I will say it was interesting to see him actually get defended online today. It was Brady Oliveira who was defending him. Someone on Twitter, I'm not going to name them out specifically, said, "Wild to keep Hogan on staff to me. Not often do coaches accept a demotion and it goes over well." This was someone had mentioned this on Twitter, and Brady Oliveira replied to this, and I'm not trying to shed any shame on anyone. I want the interesting part is Brady Oliveira and the way he's still defending Hogan. You know what I mean? He said he's one heck of a coach and an even better person, one of the hardest working guys I've ever been around in this game. Another year of experience will only help him grow even more in the long run, and I'm genuinely fired up to have him still a part of this coaching staff, which is interesting because Brady Oliveira did not need to defend him necessarily. He could have just ignored the tweet. You know what I mean? It's not like Brady Oliveira was added on the tweet. But this was one of those things where it shows that because Brady Oliveira was a vital reason Hogan actually became our OC in the first place. And I'm not throwing blame on him in a sense, but there is a good relationship there. And Jason Hogan was given that promotion because of his exceptional job as a running backs coach. And because we needed somebody to fill that spot ever since Buck Pierce left. Now, it ended up not working out. However, I'm glad that that Hogan, and I will say, if Hogan truly was accepted that and wasn't really I'm sure there was part of him that was a little bummed, but he was willing to accept that, being like, yep, I'm fine going back to being the running backs coach. That's where I did well. I respect that a lot, actually, being willing to accept that and kind of get back to things, getting back to what you're good at. I respect that. As even if I think of for example, for those not aware, my brother does some work in sports journalism, and he had done some player interviews for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, some of their coaching staff, this and that. One of the things that my brother had mentioned is regarding to Jason Hogan's interviews, was not trying to really knock Jason Hogan, but in the sense of, you could tell that Jason Hogan, as a running backs coach, never needed to do these crazy player interviews where everyone had a mic sticking in his face. When he became an offensive coordinator, you could tell that made him a little bit uncomfortable. Not in the sense of that he couldn't do it, but in the sense of he wasn't used to it. You know what I mean? Tommy Condell is used to that. Tommy Condell has been that offensive coordinator. So in terms of any media pressure, the good news is at least that this is nothing new to him, and hopefully that shouldn't really have any impact on his ability or lack of ability, depending on who you are, to call the plays. All in all, I'm skeptical about this because of what I know about Tommy Condell, but also I do believe that this is an upgrade. And if this is an upgrade, I'll take it. So what else do you have there? Because I feel like if this ever goes to shit, I'll have you know that I'm sure Rick is going to be sending me a shirt in the mail.
Oh, you can bet you I will be.
It'll be an updated one. It'll have the Bomber logo on it. It might even have him with a Bomber shirt on. Ooh.
Don't forget, he's completed the Ontario regime, so he's been with all 3 Ontario teams.
Yeah.
He's been with Saskatchewan and now Winnipeg, so he only has to do BC, both Alberta teams, and Montreal.
He was like those guys that in a weekend were trying to tour all the CFL stadiums. You know what I mean? He's just doing that over a longer
mentioned the other day. It's like someone mentioned on Twitter the other day when this first broke out from 3 down that they're going to be signing him until the team announced it. Like, man, how many lives does this cat have left?
Yeah, I will say it is interesting. Everybody talks about how the CFL recycles coaches, and this is kind of a prime example of that. Now, I will say I do understand why they do that in the sense of coaching 11-man versus 12-man football are 2 different ball games. There are guys that can make that transfer. It's harder for coaches than it is for players. Because with players, in the sense of their skill and their physical ability will still be present even with some rule changes, and it's still them being told the route. As the coach, being able to know, or especially as a coordinator on offensive or defensive, being able to understand the mindset, being able to understand the way that all these plays that you have in your book are structured, and the way that you put them in order to win a game, the decisions you make in the moment. That can be very difficult for a coach. It can be very transferable. It can be very non-transferable. This year, we're watching Chris Jones do the opposite of tear it up with North Carolina, with Super Bowl champion however many times Bill Belichick, and it didn't work out there. It shows that sometimes there's just a disconnect. And so this is one reason why the CFL recycles coaches.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
As a Bomber fan. Mm-hmm. So, if I'm not mistaken, 13 and 14 were good seasons for Zach Claros. Well, 14 was anyways. For you, in order for this Tommy Condell experiment to work as an OC, Are you saying it's Grey Cup or bust in order for to say, you know, or are you willing to accept finishing better than where you get? Well, I can't really say finish better because you guys finished third. So
Well,
what
fourth
would you
actually.
say?
Fourth. We were in the East, so fourth.
Oh yeah, so you guys were fourth. So what would you say would be
Expectation.
your expectation for in order to say, okay, I'm happy with what Condell has done for us this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with him as our OC. So what would your expectation be?
I mean, firstly, it's kind of hard to judge that off of team success, in terms of like games won. But here's what I will say. What I'll say is, firstly, if we win the Grey Cup, then obviously I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
If we go to the Grey Cup game, I would most likely be fine with it, even if we lost in the Grey Cup. If we went to the Grey Cup game, I think that still shows a lot more than what we saw. If you're asking me kind of a minimum expectation in terms of what I want this team to shoot for, I want this team to shoot for a home playoff game.
Okay,
First or
so
second in the
final.
West. I want a West final or West semifinal. I think this team a reasonable goal. And I say reasonable in the sense of not that it's easy, not that they are guaranteed to obtain it, but a reasonable goal that you can shoot for is a home playoff game. And go from there. And if they win or lose, then I'll judge those games based on how they did in those games. But I think that's all we got for this one. This is definitely one of our longer ones as of recently. There's a lot to talk about.
Hey, it was well worth it.
All right. Well, anything else you got there, Rick?
Nope.
Do you have to fly that shirt around a little bit while
I'm just waiting for that day where you guys are like 6 and 12.
He's waiting for the text
like,
where
I'm ready for my T-shirt.
I was about to say he's waiting for the day that I just send him my postal code with no notes.
Oh yeah, trust me. So the day that I found out the Tommy Condell was going to be your guys' offensive coordinator, I was just counting down the days.
All right. Thank you guys
week
so
10,
much.
Week 14.
He's like, how long is it going to last? How long is this experiment going to go? Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you haven't, make sure you guys join our Discord. Link in the description below to our Discord, where we discuss all things CFL, NHL, all sorts of sports stuff. So make sure you guys go there and keep the conversation going. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Peace, love, and positivity to all you wonderful people at home. And we will see you guys next time.